Morning. It's just after 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. Somewhere in December, it's a week before Christmas anyway. Not quite sure of the date off the top of my head. And I'm at Mum and Dad's, and I've been here since Thursday evening. And the reason for that is I got a bit of a panicked call from Jeanette on Thursday evening to say Mum, it was suspected that Mum was having a stroke. She was slurry, incoherent, seemed to be completely out of it, unsteady on her feet, and she was whipped off to hospital. So I kind of came through. As you might imagine. Sorry, there was a car coming then. And now I'm just going for a walk and thought I'd give you an update. Morning. So basically what's happened is, as I say, Saturday morning now, she's been in hospital. She was in hospital all yesterday, Friday, and today. Thursday night, all day Friday. And turns out she's not had a stroke, but it looks like they've done a raft of tests, and it looks like she's got some kind of UTI, urinary tract infection. And there could be some conflicts with her medication. And she might have even had a drop of booze that night. We don't know. We suspect that she might have been at the Drambuie. And some of her medication and alcohol don't mix well together. So it's thought that it might be something along those lines. The top and bottom of it is there should be a care package put in place, which means that as a family we'll be getting some more care from the DHSS and so on, social services, I should say. And that should be helpful. Morning. And yeah, part of Mum coming home is an improvement in care package, which means 4 visitors for my sister a day, 4 carers a day, coming in for about an hour a day. And Jeanette and I have just been discussing it because she wasn't sure whether to accept all of that. And my take on it was, no, take it all. I think I've said this in another video, just take it all, take whatever help is thrown at you. You can always turn it away, but once you refuse it, it's harder to get it back. So, because they think you're okay, so why would they allocate you it again? So yeah, and so that's kind of what we've agreed on. And because Jeanette's felt bad, and understandably, she's a good-hearted lass, about sort of like taking people when she might not need them. But that just might be the case sometimes too. But also it means, you know, she can write a list of stuff that she wants them to do whenever they arrive and have them do that kind of thing. And if they don't have anything to do, she can just leave them looking after the fort for a little bit while she goes off and has a bit of a breather. So yeah, it might just make things a little bit easier. So yeah, I'm out on a mission this morning and got to go to the chemist. Morning. As I say, out on a mission, got to go to the chemist and drop some Christmas cards off and go to the shop and have a little walk around Filey too. Look at what they've done to the seal. Bit of fun. One of the things they've been doing on Cobble Landing at this time of year is building this crab pot Christmas tree. How cool is that? Looking at that sky, it looks like I might get rained on shortly, so I might find somewhere to shelter and just wait it out for a few minutes. It's a southerly wind, so it's blowing up towards me to where I'm walking, the direction I'm walking into. Morning. Just for those of you who haven't seen our big fisherman. Tide's on the way out. Morning. I think I'm just going to wait under here and do a little time lapse just to see if it does chuck it down. Gives me a chance to have a bit of coffee as well. It looks like I've managed to, well, I say managed to dodge. It looks like the rain isn't going to come after all. So I'm going to go a bit further. And I think today, in one of my last videos, I had a meander to Grandma Edna's grave, Edna Bowes, and showed you where she used to live. And I think today I'm going to go and visit the memorial bench that we've got in Crescent Gardens for Grandma and Grandad on my mother's side. So we'll just have a walk along the seafront, I think, on the prom, and go up at Crescent Hill. Do you know, I think one of the reasons why I love the coast so much, and one of the reasons why I love Scotland so much, is you just see so much of the skyline. In Scotland you end up looking up at the sky because of the mountains, so you notice it. And there's a lot of big open space. And you get all that big open space here too, across the bay. And for me, it just kind of makes me appreciate vastness, I think, and I don't know, I've always found it helps me put a few things in perspective. So this is Crescent Hill, and my understanding of where the name Filey comes from is the FI is the abbreviation of 5, and the Ley is 5, is the end of valleys, 5 valleys. 5 valleys, 5 valleys, Filey. However, I've also heard people say it's from 5 leas, Leas. So it could be a combination of the two, or it could be just one or the other. So this is called the Highlands, Hylands, and it used to be, sorry, they used to be at the side here, a bar called the Highlands Bar. And this was the entrance door. And this was a pub. And I came in here after work one day with some friends. It was one of my first jobs, and I was underage drinking. And my dad knew I was going out. I was about 16, I think, at the time, 17. And I always had to be pretty good in Filey. Small community, everybody knew my dad, he was an ambulance driver. Everybody knew him. And I didn't feel, or it felt like everybody knew him, and I didn't feel like there was anything I could ever do in Filey wrong without it getting back to him somehow. So I was always a good boy. But yeah, he came along and stood at the bar and bought me a drink. To this day, I still feel embarrassed about the way I treated him that day, because I was so dismissive and offhand with him, because it was that time of life when you've heard me talk in the other videos about things being the new norm, the new normal. Well, the normal in your teenage years is that your parents are a frigging nightmare and bloody embarrassing. That's what it felt like at the time. And yeah, as I say, I've apologised to him about that, because I felt so dreadful. You know, years later that was. But at the time it was just a nightmare. I was out with my mates, and here's my embarrassing old man. Oh no! Offering to buy me a drink, what a nightmare. Isn't it funny how you get perspective skewed as a kid? Anyway, so these benches along here, one of these is for my grandparents, and I'm not stopping because I don't know which one it is, because I do. But the reason I'm just panning round is because there never used to be this many. This is just one of those things that's developed over the years. And my grandma and granddad always loved this spot here. There's a pond, little frog pond and so on. Gets frogs and newts in it. And here, this bench, in memory of Ernest Frederick and Florence May, also known as Queenie, Swallow, remembered and loved by daughters and families. So yeah, sometimes as a family we've come and sat on here and just reminisced and looked out at the fabulous view across Filey Bay. Wonderful. Right, onwards to the chemist and get the first job done. Oh no, post office first. Then the chemist. What confused me there was that used to be the post office. And over there, that's where I did the geocache the other week. So that's the pharmacy done. Onto the shops. And then Christmas card deliverers. Okay, Tesco, entering the devil's den.
Morning, what big issue, please?
Morning, no thank you, I haven't got any change. And I've escaped the devil's den. Right, next stop, Errand. One thing we're going through a lot of at the moment is tissues. And that's mostly because my dad's coughing up an awful lot of stuff. All the stuff that's on his lungs. Morning.
Morning.
Look at these two. Should just talk to each other really, shouldn't they? So this used to be Frank D Supermarkets, and this was where I had my very first job as a 15-year-old boy, and I left my paper rounds to take a job in this very shop. There's a lot of memories. In fact, I was working here. Remember when I said about that thing about the Highlands Hotel with my dad? This is where I was working. So that's the shopping bit done. I'm laden like a pack horse. And it's time to go to Richard's and drop a Christmas card off. Before I go, that place behind me, that's Silver Birches. That's where my grandmother spent her last days. Grandmother, the one that was known as Queenie, who the bench we saw today, that's where she saw her last days out. Morning, Richard.
Morning.
Right, so slight change in camera angle. Mostly because I'm also carrying shopping as well as the camera in that hand now. And this is Clarence Drive. Now I've only ever been to Richard's house once, that was in the car. But I think I can find it. If nothing else, these little jaunts out the house get me out the house, they get me out and about for a short period of time, doing something other than being out for work. It's just a bit of a change of scenery. Be interested to see what the footage is like on this clip, because I'm using the DJI Osmo Action Cam. And when I look at it, it's jerking like a jerky thing. And the DJI Osmo Action Cam has a technology called Rocksteady, which is like the equivalent of a gimbal, and it's supposed to keep it quite steady, so we'll see what it's like. I think I know where I am. It's quite a nice secluded area in Filey, is this. Whilst there are a few like council flats, just a nice area. I think Richards is over there, roughly centre screen if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not there. It's just coming into view now. There it is. Good stuff. Right. Turn the camera off while I sort this out. Here we are, hold on. Last errand of the day. And I've still got coffee left. Always a bonus. One of the things that is kind of nice is the card that I've just dropped off was for a friend of Dad's that he's kind of met. He's got all these friends that he's met while he's been out doing his morning walk previously, and he stopped, said hello to them, got to know them while he's gone out for his walk, and most of them have dogs, and Dad loves dogs, and so he started taking a pocket full of treats around with him and buttering the dogs up. So yeah, they've all got to know him and love him and his friendly nature. Thank you for watching. I'm going to turn this camera off now. And I think the next footage I do for this aspect of the vlog will probably be Christmas, and we'll see what happens there. So take care. And take care of those you love. See you soon. So it's about 5:34, as you've seen, on Sunday morning. It's been a very strange weekend. Apart from the fact that Mum was admitted to hospital on Thursday, and incidentally we rang her last night. We were able to rang the hospital because we can't go see her, and Jeanette and I were beginning to feel concerned about her feeling abandoned. So we rang the hospital last night and got to speak to her, which was good. And she's doing okay. She's a lot calmer than we anticipated. But she's doing okay, and Jeanette took a few more things through to the hospital for her. It's the worst thing, not being able to visit her. But then when I got back from a walk yesterday, Dad's breathing was a lot more laborious, and Jeanette called the district nurse out initially to deliver what's called a secretions jab. We have a collection of medications here for emergencies, and even though Jeanette and I are delivering the Fragmin jabs, we're not authorised to deliver any of these other ones. They're more controlled. Dad was getting more and more panicky, so we ended up calling the paramedics too. And thankfully, they must have been just around the corner. So literally, as Jeanette was getting off the phone, there was a knock on the door. And it was one of Dad's old work colleagues. To cut a long story short, they ended up delivering the secretions jab, and the district nurse came just to check up to see how he was doing. And he was a lot better. But his breathing is still very strained, but it was just a lot better, and he felt better. And it's just this, he can't seem to clear any stuff that's on his chest. So yeah, it's Sunday. Christmas is in, 4 or 5 days, and regardless of what Boris Johnson does with the coronavirus cancellation and so on, cancelling Christmas, for people in situations like ours, Christmas is going to look very different anyway. So hopefully Mum should be back home on Monday. Yeah, this year's definitely going to be the She's definitely going to be the one where everything changes.